big question then, will our VIPs ever give up this Lal Batti culture? Joining me now, Panda, Member of Parliament of the Biju Janata Dal, Dushyant Dave, Senior Lawyer, and R.K. Singh, former Home Secretary. I want to come to you, Panda, first. What is this obsession with the Lal Batti? Is it a status symbol? Does it symbolize the fact that you all are VIPs? Why do you need a Lal Batti for not just the President, the Prime Minister and top government ministers, but virtually right down the line?
You know, Rajdeep, as you know, I don't use a red beacon, and I have written often against this culture in op-eds, and if you look at my Twitter timeline and Facebook and elsewhere, my opinion is that it's a third world mindset. I think it's a mindset that you can't improve things for the average citizen, so you try to make special privileges for yourself if you happen to be in a position to do so, which I think is unfortunate. I think only if the so-called VIPs and VVIPs are made to experience life just like the average citizen, then things will start improving much faster. Whether it is standing in lines at the airport for security checking, whether it is having a red beacon on the car or any other beacon, I completely welcome this Supreme Court judgment. In fact, you know, the only thing unfortunate about this judgment is that it took so long, it took so many decades, and that it had to take a Supreme Court judgment. I think we ourselves, in public life, we should have regulated ourselves and brought out such rules many, many years ago.
But are you an exception? Are you an exception, Jai? You know, today when you're welcoming this judgment,
I think there are,
you know, most MPs will see this as an intrusion by the court into their privileges.
No, I am not an exception. Let me tell you that, for example, from Odisha, we have 21 in the Lok Sabha and 10 MPs in the Rajya Sabha. None of us are entitled to red beacon cars, and none of us covet it either. Because there is no security reason for us to have any special privileges. I do admit that in some cases, if there is a specific security threat, whether it comes to protection of a person to ensure that he or she is protected, that's a different issue. And in terms of constitutional authorities, see, either we can take a view that all citizens are equal, nobody should have these special privileges. Or if at all you should have, I endorse the Supreme Court decision, it should be for constitutional heads, and those are limited, in my opinion, to 5 at the national level and their state equivalents. The 5 at the national level are President, Prime Minister, Chief Justice, Vice President, and the Speaker. These are the heads of the constitutional branches and their equivalents at the states. I don't think anybody else should be given such privileges.
Well, I think that, you know, in some ways, many will agree with what you're saying. Only a limited number of constitutional authorities should be given Lal Battis. But Mr. R.K. Singh, as a former Home Secretary, were you under pressure from all kinds of government officials that they needed this Lal Batti because it gave them a sense of power? I have figures, and it's not just Lal Batti, even the VIP security. In Delhi, there's 1 policeman for 253 citizens and 12 for a VIP, according to one report prepared by the Bureau of Police Research. What is the sense? Why, you know, are politicians hankering for these Lal Battis? Were you under pressure when you were Home Secretary?
Rajdeep, it was not about the Lal Batti because that's handled by the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. We were...
but this whole VIP security, sir.
Security.
Yes,
we were barraged with requests for security because security had also become a status symbol, and having 2 or 3 people walk behind you had become a status symbol. So we had worked out a protocol which made it simpler for us to deflect and deny these requests, and I think for a long time we managed to sort of restrict grant of security only to those who actually really needed it. But as far as this red light, this beacon lights are concerned, you know, beacon lights, their origin was, the beacon lights were only meant for emergency vehicles and vehicles required for, you know, the law and order, or immediate law and order, urgent law and order, like the police and the ambulance and the, you know, the fire tenders. Subsequently, they become a status symbol, and then after that, you know, everybody started wanting it. I have one hole to pick in the Supreme Court order. And that hole is that why should anybody, except the emergency services, require any beacon light at all?
That's an interesting point.
There's absolutely no logic why a judge should require it or why anybody should require it. except the emergency service. That is the ambulance,
Dushyant Dave, respond to RK Singh.
Police and maybe
Dushyant
the
Dave,
fire tender. That's it.
Dushyant Dave, respond to RK Singh. Only emergency services in this country should have Lal Batti. Why should judges have? Why should a bureaucrat have? Why should every MP have?
Nobody else. It's a democracy.
Yes.
And why should there be any status symbols? For God's sake.
Dushyant Dave, respond.
I think I would agree with both Mr. Jai Panda and Mr. R.K. Singh.
Yes.
To my mind, red light is a symbol of arrogance.
Right.
It's a symbol of insult to citizens. In our own country, we have become second-rate citizens, and there is this new breed, new class of people who have really not done anything for the country, who have really taken themselves on a higher platform and used this. So why do they use it? You are right. They use it because they want to park the cars under a no parking board. You come to Lodi Garden on the Amrita Shergill Mall Circle, you will find a 3-star Lieutenant General, you will find a Supreme Court judge's car, High Court judge's car, and half a dozen government officers' car parked right under no parking sign on a circle where it is very difficult for people to travel.
Yes.
They travel at breakneck speeds. Today morning, I will give you an example. At 10:05
yes,
on the Prithviraj Road, we were crossing our green light, and suddenly a convoy of red cars came, and they just went through the red lights coming from the Claridge's side. It almost hit a small Maruti car which was in front of me. Now, this is the kind of a people, and the side effect is something very bad, which I saw again today at 6:53 on, the Lodi Road
yes,
outside Humayun's tomb. A fire tender was stuck for full 6 minutes with emergency lights and siren blaring. Nobody was willing to allow that fire tender to go because people have now become disgusted with these red lights and sirens. As a result of that, the genuine vehicles like ambulance and fire tenders are suffering today.
So are we then reaching a consensus, Jai Panda, that only emergency services? Mr. R.K. Singh has added another dynamic to it. You're saying constitutional authorities could be in some ways excluded. Mr. Singh is saying all citizens should be equal and only emergency services should have the red light. Would that be acceptable to you? Would you believe that we could now reach a stage where we could even go a step further from this Supreme Court order, Jai?
Rajit, I'll just come to that in a minute. You
Yes.
know, this culture has gone to such an extent.
Yes.
Tonight, I attended a large wedding,
Yes.
and even as some of us were waiting in line to greet the newlyweds,
Yes.
we saw this unusual sight of VIPs and wannabe VIPs
Yes.
with hangers on, brushing past the line. So this mindset is not just limited to red lights, it's not just limited to airport security. Even at weddings where I suppose every guest should be equal,
Yes.
there is a mindset of a class system. So yes, I actually agree that we should do away completely with all red lights and it should only be limited to emergency vehicles, because we are today, India in the 21st century is transitioning to a middle income status. We should start thinking like a first world country. This is a third world mentality, to have special privileges for those who are in positions of power. But if we go by the Supreme Court order, then it should be limited only to constitutional authorities, which means 5 people in the national capital and their equivalents in the state. So it's very, very handful of people. But otherwise, ideally, it should be no one. It should be only for emergency services.
You're agreeing it's only for emergency services, but Mr. Singh, there's the security angle also. That's the argument often given. It's given for VIP security. It's also given for Lal Battis in a way. That these cars need to go through heavy traffic. So if there is a Lal Batti, if I'm a minister stuck in a heavy traffic, I may miss some major meeting. I need to also look at my own security. I may be a high-risk VIP. Do you believe that the security argument is an important argument to have a Lal Batti on your car?
Not at all. It militates against security if you have a car which is marked out. So the Lal Batti is not an argument for security at all.
It's not an argument.
And if somebody has an important
yes,
for security at all, and if somebody has an important meeting to attend, I think he should calculate the time properly. I mean, instead of jumping over red lights.
Dushyant Dave, Jai Panda is saying that is also agreeing that only for emergency services. But tell me, will the judges make a start? Because judges also have Lal Battis at the moment. Do you believe that all our judges will stop tomorrow using Lal Battis as a result of this Supreme Court order?
Well, I am a judge's son, and I can tell you one thing.
Yes.
That when my father was a judge, we
Yes.
didn't have any kind of a recognition on our car.
Right.
And it was impossible to think that our car could ever be parked on the no parking sign, or it could cross the red light, or expect any kind of a special status on the road. We had to follow the road sense. Today, not only the judges,
Yes.
but their families. For example, if their wives come to the Khan market to buy, the drivers invariably park their cars in such a way that they cause serious inconvenience to other fellow travelers. And I mean, there are judges I see every morning while going to the Supreme Court,
Yes.
whose cars are blaring siren away and a red light, and expecting the police on every corner to notice that well before and to stop the traffic. And the traffic is stopped for a long point of time.
Right.
So it is absolutely disgusting to my mind that, and frankly, the judges should be the first one to give up the red lights and the sirens, because it does not really befit them to have them. They don't need them, and
Right.
they really shouldn't have them.
I'm presuming that Dushyant Dave, your father was a judge in the 60s and 70s, and many have believed that in that period, Jai Panda, whether you were a politician, whether you were a judge, whether you were any important bureaucrat, you didn't hanker after this status symbol. This is a particular phenomenon which has existed in the last 20, 30 years. What has changed, Jai? Why is it that the people you sit with in parliament, as I keep saying, there are a lot of good, well-intentioned people, but why is it that there are so many people also who want these privileges? Why do they hanker for it so much? What's your explanation for that?
I think even today in public life there are such people. I saw on Twitter today a tweet from J&K Chief Minister Omar Abdullah,
Yes.
that he wants to do away with his red lights. And across the political spectrum, Goa Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar is known for not standing on formality.
Yes.
I think we have to recognize that there is really immense public anger at these signs of privilege.
Yes.
And many politicians and political parties are not recognizing this.
Yes.
Just over the last 2 or 3 days, we have been debating about the phenomenon of a new party like the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi.
Yes.
What are they doing? They are promising exactly this kind of thing. They are promising to listen to the people,
Yes.
not have such VIP culture. And there are many existing politicians and people in traditional parties who are willing to do the same. But those who are not willing to change, I think they are in for a very rude shock in the coming months and years.
Mr. Ramarao on my Twitter account is making a good point. He's saying the Batti is a trivial issue. What is angering us as the Aam Aadmi is the blocking of traffic for VIPs. Would you agree with that, Mr. R.K. Singh? A quick answer, that the real problem is not just that Lal Batti, but the manner in which the moment you put a Lal Batti, then you believe you have the right to block traffic.
Absolutely. And in fact, the very mindset which makes a Lal Batti, which looks out for status symbols, I think
Yes.
that's against democracy. And all the people, who are there to serve the people, they should not have this feudal mindset. It's
Right.
a sign of feudal mindset, actually.
That's the last point I want to take to you, Dushyant Dave. Is this a feudal mindset that at the end of the day, we remain a feudal, it has often been said that third world countries which have the poorest people often living in them, often have people living in the most, their leaders live in the most luxurious houses, and their leaders travel in the most expensive, flashy cars. Is this a feudal mindset where our politicians believe they are the Maharajas? So the Maharajas traveled in chariots, today's politicians travel in a red light Lal Batti car.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Rajdeep, they are modern day Maharajas.
Yes.
See, they have forgotten one thing, that the cherished goal of the Constitution, as the preamble tells us, is equality. And I can't understand why they don't want to be equal with us and they want to be first amongst the equals. I mean, it is impossible to think, we all have traveled abroad.
Yes.
Do we ever see these kind of, red beacons on the cars of anybody in democratic nations like United Kingdom or United States of America or Germany or France or anywhere?
Yes.
But yes, as Mr. Singh rightly says, or as Jai Panda rightly says, if you go to the African countries and the Latin American countries, you suddenly find convoys of these cars with
Sure.
red lights.
Sure.
So we really must grow as a nation. Our politicians and those in power like like judges, bureaucrats,
Yes.
police officers, even army officers.
Right.
They must realize that they must behave like common citizens,
Right.
and that unless and until they behave like one, they won't really get the respect.
Right.
They can't expect respect. They must earn the respect of people. Otherwise, their fate will be, as Jai rightly says, Aam Aadmi Party. People will throw them out.
Okay, you took the words from my mouth. The Aam Aadmi in some way will strike out if the Khas Aadmi doesn't give up his or her privileges. Jai Panda, R.K. Singh, Dushyant Dave, pleasure to have you on the Lal Batti culture debate. For once, the Supreme Court has shaken, or not for once, but once again, the Supreme Court has perhaps shaken VIP privileges in the country.